So a quick video on the Lorenz curve. You're not going to have to draw this, but you should know what it is. You might see a multiple choice question about it. So basically this is just a way of quantifying and also visualizing the amount of inequality, usually in a country, but it could be a state or something like that. So this is showing a particular income distribution, and so you can see that this is the bottom 20% of the population in terms of income, and this is the amount of the share of income that part of the population earns. So bottom 20% is earning 5%, and then the next 20% is earning 10%, and then you have going to the top 20% earns half of all the income. So obviously there's some degree of inequality here, and we want to get a measure of that. So what the Lorenz curve does is just plot this on a graph like this, where so this is the cumulative share, which just means we're ranking the part of the population in terms of income. So again, bottom 10%, bottom 20%. This is now the bottom 50%, so it includes all, that whole part of the population, which is why it's cumulative. So, and then how much of the total share, the cumulative share of the income do they earn? So, again, here we have the bottom 40% of the population in terms of income, and they earn whatever that percentage is. So 15% of the income. And so if you just plotted that for each of these numbers, you get a curve like this, and that is the Lorenz curve. And you can get a quantitative measure of this using this graph, which is this area A. So you can see that the more inequality, the bigger that area A is. So usually you'll see just kind of a theoretical version of this, not trying to plot the actual data, but just to get a sense of how big this is. So you can see the more this thing bends, the more inequality you're going to have, because if we have, say, the bottom 50% of the population here, if you have a really small amount, then you're bending it even farther this way. And so if you had a more equal society, so if you had 50%, this would be like 45% or something. So it's almost equality. And if you were on this line, then you would have total equality, which you're never going to have. But then the bottom 10% has 10% of the income, the next 10% has the next 10% of the income, and bottom 50 has 50% of the income, and so on. So that's your perfect equality line. And so you're always going to bend away from that if you have some inequality. And so the more you bend, the more inequality you have. So going back to this, which is showing some actual data, or at least probably theoretical. But so once you get that area, then if you take that ratio A over this whole area A plus B, then that gives you what's called the Gini coefficient. So that's one measure of inequality that you'll sometimes see. And so the way this is constructed, this has to be between 0 and 1. So if this is, say, zero point 0.3 for this particular example, just estimating, then Gini coefficient will be 0.3. Sometimes that'll be multiplied by 100, so it'll be 30 instead of 0.3. It'll be clear from the context. But you basically just have to have an idea of what's going on here with the Lorenz curve, and you might as well know what the Gini coefficient is. So, and again, you'll usually see this kind of smooth version that's really just giving a theoretical idea of what this would look like. So just to give a sense of what kind of numbers we're talking about, this is a map from giving the 2017 numbers. And so you can see, you have some very unequal societies here in South America, here in South Africa, and the more equal countries, the Scandinavian countries over here tend to be more equal. It's got Ukraine over here as the lowest number. I'm not sure if that data is reliable or not, but keep in mind that inequality is not the only thing that you'd want to look at. So that doesn't tell you about the absolute level of prosperity. It could be that everyone is equally at a relatively low level. So this is just looking at inequality. So here, this is a good site if you want to look at some other data, our world in data. So this is showing, might be a little hard to see, but this is showing Gini coefficients. These red ones are market income. So before any adjustments, you have the Gini coefficients over here, and then after redistribution, so transfers and things like that, and taxes, then it moves the Gini coefficient down, so you can see the effect of redistribution here in changing that level of inequality, that Gini coefficient. And so you can see, they put some of the low numbers are down here, and then it just has the U.S. and a couple other ones up here. But Here's another one that's data is a little bit old, but you can see, some clear trends here. There has been a rise in most countries where the inequality has risen. So if you have, the very top earners gaining more, then you're going to see a rise in that Gini coefficient.